The following may contain some language or subject matter which is not appropriate for all audiences. Hey everybody, thank you for joining us here once again on the Low Fact Podcast. Modified edition, I guess.
Woo!
Dave and Matt here to talk about various things a little bit longer than we usually do.
What is our podcast?
What do you mean?
Well, I describe it as a funny and philosophical take on society and human nature, but I don't know if it's that.
Well, people are just going to have to listen and decide what it is, and maybe someone will give us a better tagline for ourselves.
But you got to describe it as something.
Well, describe it as whatever you want.
But what are we?
So, do you think that that you learn more from success or from failure?
Well, I know what the canned answer is.
I'm asking for your answer.
It's a hard question.
It's not that hard.
It's probably from failure.
You don't sound very convinced. You think you learn more from your successes than you do from your failures?
No, when I have the successes, I don't think about learning anything.
Okay. But you do when you fail?
When I fail, I don't feel like I learn very much either.
Oh.
I don't think I've learned very much either way.
So you're just not a very learning type?
No.
That's cool.
I mean, for me...
Right, well...
I guess I don't really look at stuff very much.
Okay, that's cool. I don't know why I said that's cool twice, but that's the conventional wisdom, right? You learn more from failures than you do from your successes.
That's what people say. I've never really understood it.
But. Right. So if that's true, then how come people don't go to other people who have done mostly failing for advice to learn about stuff? Why do they always go to people who are quote-unquote successful for tips and pointers?
Well, shit. That's a good question.
I mean, that just seems a little... Is it counterintuitive, or...
Because we judge success based on indicators like wealth and...
Well, no, that's you're kind of going off. I mean, because if the whole idea is that we as individuals learn more from our failures than we do from our successes, right?
Uh-huh.
When asking for help or when asking for advice, why wouldn't you go to people that have just failed a lot? Wouldn't they have learned more from?
That would, well, you'd think. But what if someone is just an utter failure?
Well, then that person must have the most insight to give.
Not necessarily.
Well, yeah,
it depends on the person.
One would hope, but this whole that's just a thought that came to me one day. I'm like, okay, well, if we learn more from our failures than our successes, why do we always go to quote unquote successful people?
Really learn from their failures?
Well, if they're like you, then no. But then again, if they're like you, they don't learn from anything, success or failure.
I don't sit there and think about it, really. What was it? Like, I'm not a... How did you describe it one day? You didn't say deep thinker.
So you don't sit there and think about your failures, the times that you did not succeed, and just kind of stew over it. And
well, in a context of relationships, yeah. Does that count?
Up to you whether something counts or not.
Yeah, I mean, definitely in the context of failed relationships, for sure.
You don't sit there and okay, so you just think about them, or you don't sit there and.
I sit there and go, why?
So that's just really complaining, isn't it?
No, why did it fail?
Right.
Like, what did I do?
And do you go beyond that?
I go to what did I do?
Right.
And I think, maybe I could have done this different or that different.
So you're just like stabbing in the dark then?
That's not stabbing in the dark. I mean, you look back at it and you say, there's some things I could have done different. Like if I'd done this different, if I'd done this differently or reacted differently or done that differently, maybe I'd still be in a relationship.
Right, that's just taking stabs at the dark.
Why is that taking a stab in the dark? I mean, you're thinking back and thinking about the things that happened and saying, well, yeah, I could have done that differently. How is that stabbing?
Because you don't know.
Why? Like, because it's what? Speculation? To be saying, well, if I'd done that differently, then...
Isn't it? That's like sitting there going, oh, if I had just done, if I'd just taken that right turn instead of that left, then, I would have totally missed that accident.
But one would hope that you would have some intuition about, some insights, just by virtue of just looking back at it in your mind.
Is that the same as if you kind of point out the problem will solve itself?
I don't think so.
I don't think anybody thinks that, but
I mean, how was that stabbing in the dark, Wayne? What are you talking about? Some kind of full on analysis?
well, I don't know. I'm not saying that anybody has to do things the way I would do it,
But if you're going back and looking at a failure, you're going to sit there and
looking at a time when I didn't succeed, or yeah,
so you're going to do a full on analysis.
I do. Sometimes I do it for years.
How do you even remember?
It's hard to forget when you fail.
I disagree.
Well, that's the difference between you and me.
I can't it's gone. I can't think back and I can't visualize those moments.
Not me, man.
It's gone.
I always think about that. I think about that whenever someone pissed me off.
I'm glad I don't have your mind. I prefer my mind. Yeah, where it just kind of goes gone.
Yeah, it's never really gone for me.
Uh,
I carry a grudge.
that sounds like hell to me.
No. I mean, like I said before in a different podcast, right? I thought I was really bad because I thought about it I thought I carried a grudge until I died, but turns out, no, I only carry a grudge until you die.
That's, I don't know, man.
Well, I always thought that was pretty big of me. Very forgiving, right?
That's so wrong.
What?
You didn't come up with that, right?
What?
I don't carry a grudge until I die. I just carry a grudge until you die.
No, I think I did. It was an epiphany that I had a couple of years ago.
You just carry the grudge until the person dies.
I just remembered I really was mad about something on a particular individual, and then I heard that person was dead, and all of a sudden, boom, it was gone. I was like, wow.
Hey, I wonder if that happened to that guy that wrote me.
What?
There's a guy that wrote me. Did I tell you about this? He was in the prison system here in California, and he wrote me a letter blaming me for all this stuff.
But it wasn't you.
But it wasn't me. And I figured out that probably the guy that he thought I was dead.
Right.
So I wrote him a letter back, and I said, I think the guy that you're thinking of is now deceased.
Uh-huh.
So do you think, when he read that, he was like, ah?
I don't know.
I hope so.
Did you get any letters back?
Not yet.
Okay.
But I hope that he got it and they gave him some, that he's not in the way that he was when he wrote the letter, because my goodness.
Yes, you told me about that, actually.
It's so weird.
So yeah, that's all I had for that particular topic.
On learning from it.
If failure is the greatest teacher, if we learn the most from failing, if we learn more from failing than we do succeeding, why don't we go to people that have consistently failed for advice?
That's weird.
It is weird, isn't it? I mean, why do you?
But somebody would have to be. You have to be successful or have the aura of success in order to be a self-help person. Right? I've never heard of a self-help person who's an utter failure.
Well, I don't see how much you can get from someone who's always succeeding.
That's true. But success sells. That's the weird part.
Then
failure does not sell.
Well, then maybe that's why a lot of people are unhappy, because they're going to the wrong teachers for their lessons.
Maybe you should start a self-help movement based on failure.
That's basically all I've done.
Maybe that's what this podcast should be.
Yeah, so, anybody that wants some life advice, some coaching, come to me, because I'm a big fat zero.
That's not true.
If I fail anymore, I'll be going into the negatives.
I mean, maybe in the eyes of society, but fucking society's
Maybe in the eyes of all the judges, then yeah, but
Dude, society's fucking false.
Is that like those I'm gonna just say it. Is that like those stupid sayings that the women say to other women? It's like, oh, you're just too too pretty. That guy was just too intimidated by your beauty.
Oh, that makes me laugh when I hear that.
You're just too accomplished. That's why that guy didn't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, how about you didn't want to talk to you?
Maybe
You're
we're
a
just
bitch.
too good at what we do. People are like, they prefer to go to the people that aren't as good at what they do.
Well, sometimes they do. Sometimes people do.
That's weird too.
But that's a choice. To me, that means you weren't very serious about what you wanted.
Well, here's a question that just came up on the back of that. Why are we so irrational? Why are people so irrational? Why are we such irrational creatures?
Because we have emotions is about the only answer that I can say.
But not all the time.
Sure,
I mean,
we do.
sometimes we have the frontal cortex stuff going on.
There's
the
always
analytical.
emotions going on. I don't care how
Even when we're
analytical you are.
doing the analytical.
Yeah,
So, like, background, there's always emotions.
I'm going to say so.
So even when we're not aware that we're being emotional, we're being emotional.
I'm going to say yes on that. Sure.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I never claimed to make sense or be intelligent.
This was supposed to be an additional point of conversation, and you just
Well, maybe you should have asked a smarter person.
ding, torpedo sunk. You just sunk my battleship.
Well, that's what happens when you talk to a stupid person.
You're stupid.
Huh?
You're stupid.
Well, maybe I am.
My eye hurts.
Maybe if you stop messing with it.
Sorry about that, people. Don't mean to tell you about my physical ailments.
Of which there are many.
Not that many.
Sure there are. You're always talking about something that hurts. Oh, my back hurts. Oh, my hand hurts.
My
oh,
knees
my arm.
hurt. My hands hurt. My shoulder hurts.
Oh, my bowels hurt. Oh, this hurts. Oh, that hurts.
bowel. Man, it's just as well lots of people aren't listening to this because it would be embarrassing.
It's embarrassing enough.
Yeah. Please send us an email if you're listening.
Why are you trying to change the subject on this?
Cause man, I wanna know that there's somebody out there listening, dude. That our podcast just going into the ether.
Well, they aren't. So what else? Anything else that you want to talk about today?
Pronounce silence. So you think my irrational? That's that simple.
What?
I said, why are we so irrational? What was your response?
I think it's because we have emotions.
And emotions make us irrational.
Sure, emotions are feelings, right? Whoa, feelings.
Yeah, but what's wrong with feelings?
Nothing. There's nothing.
But the irrational causes us to do stupid things.
Dude, the rational would cause you to do stupid things.
No.
You don't think that if you were super rational, you would not also do stupid things?
No, I think if you were super rational, then you would make decisions based on facts. And then you would analyze things, and then you would act accordingly.
Well, I think as irrational as we are, we still make decisions based on facts. See, we have a conclusion that we want, then we gather all the facts that support the conclusion that we want, and then we go.
So that's still emotional.
I'm just saying that we're doing what you're saying we're doing.
And you can still fuck it up.
No.
Decision.
I'm just saying that you're like, oh, if I made these decisions based on fact, everything would be fine. I'm just telling you, as irrational as we are, we still make decisions based on facts. They're facts that we want.
But if they're facts that we want, then we're making an emotional decision.
Not necessarily. We're just doing it backwards, right? We're saying, this is where I want to be.
And I'm going to gather the facts that allow me to justify where I want to be.
I'm only going to examine or take note or use the facts that I want to get me where I want to be as evidence for support.
Then we're screwed.
Not necessarily. Look how far we've gotten.
Not very far.
Well,
I mean, I would have thought that we would have been like way into outer space and would have had off-world like civilizations by now.
Well, there's really no place to go, and none of the other rocks that are nearby are.
Why can't we have like giant space stations that people are living on?
Would you want to live in space?
Yeah, I think it'd be pretty cool.
I don't know.
I mean, based on the science fiction books I've read.
Well, that's why they're called fiction.
Asimov, Paul Anderson, I mean, all those guys.
But I don't.
Didn't you ever dream about that when you were a kid?
Not really.
living in space?
Well, yeah, I wanted to be an astronaut for a little while.
See?
But then I found out about how boring it would be, that I was just all, nah.
So you don't think things would run better if we were a little more rational?
I don't know.
I mean, isn't all this COVID stuff...
What do you mean by better?
Efficient, like just a better quality of life. I mean, things working better. Less...
You're kind of conflating two things, right? If you're someone who really wants efficiency, you don't really care about quality. If you wanted the most efficient ride to get somewhere, you wouldn't. I don't think anybody would have a vehicle, right?
Wait. Oh, you mean like it would be just like a transporter?
Or the most efficient like meals.
Oh, right, yeah.
Or the most efficient clothes.
Efficient meals probably wouldn't taste very good.
I don't know why you have this idea that if things were whatever the way they are that you think that they should be, that would be better. I don't know that there's such a thing as better. Well,
everyone running around making decisions based on emotion just seems like to get us into a whole lot of trouble.
I don't think we all. I don't think that we make decisions based on emotion. Emotions are always there. Bias is always there.
Well, okay, like coronavirus. Everybody is running around in a state of fucking fearfulness and panic, and that's emotional. That's also like a lot of it is emotional.
That's also a survival instinct.
Yeah, but like it's based on. Most likely, it's based on faulty facts. So everyone's having like this massive.
What do you mean faulty facts? How can a fact be faulty? It just is.
Because it's like manipulated facts.
Then that's not really a fact.
You know.
A fact by itself is kind of inert. You can't really make a fact ert by...
You can manipulate statistics and stuff.
Sure, but then you're taking something that's inert and ertifying it.
But, like, the reaction is emotional. People freaking out, people being at each other, that's all emotional. You know?
So?
Well, it's stupid.
Well, if you kind of pull the thread, if you pull on one thread, don't you think that the whole thing would just kind of come apart? Like I said about the whole, if everything was judged on your abilities, on how well if everything was judged on ability, like how well someone did X, or whatever it is, right? Then really you wouldn't need anything. Families would be irrelevant. Friends would be irrelevant. And in fact, I read something somewhere that said if you think you got somewhere, or you got what you got because of your abilities, then you're actually a big old cunt. Because you think you deserve everything you got, and you don't need to, like, charity kind of goes out the window.
Oh, I've met a few people like that.
It's like the whole thing, like the stronger that a government entity is, the less likely that the populace would be very caring.
About
others. Because the government's supposed to take care of everything, right? You don't need to give money you don't need charity. But this whole idea, like, so, on the thing about if everything's based on your abilities, your strengths, whatever, how well you do, whatever it is you do, then really there's no need for parenting. There's no need for friends. Why do I need my parents to intercede to get me that job if I'm actually qualified for whatever it is to do that job?
Yeah.
Why do I need to have or raise kids? I just jerk off into a vial and just,
The Matrix.
Because that kid's going to go forth based on his abilities. If he has no abilities, well, he's not going to get anywhere. Too bad. And plus, it's probably because there is the economic thing called autarky, where if you're self-sufficient, you're just going to be poor. Then if, division of labor, someone who's better at doing X can do X. If you're better at doing Y, you do Y. And if you're not good at doing anything, then you'll just be the manager.
When you say autarky, I always think you're saying all turkey.
I do think of turkeys when I think of autarky.
It's such a weird word.
It's a stupid economic word.
But I'm just, yeah. I mean, I guess I associate negative with the emotional.
There's nothing negative about emotions.
But even though I'm quite emotional.
I mean, anger is an incredibly strong emotion that can get people out of all kinds of binds.
It's true.
I mean, if you're angry all the time, it turns into a negative. But if you can channel your anger, you can fight off seemingly insurmountable odds.
Yes.
Anger can get you to keep going and doing stuff.
That's true.
Love can too.
Love can keep us together.
I don't know why you're sitting there subjecting me to very bad Captain and Tennille.
Oh, is that who it is?
Oh, God. For someone who claims to love music, you sure don't know jack about music.
Well, on that note.
Thank you for listening, everyone, and tell us what you think about our new format.